fielder, left-handed hitter, ready to face Nick Hull. First pitch of the ball game. We're underway. Rourke batting .288, 49 home runs. No, that would be something, wouldn't it? 49 base hits in 170 at-bats. Get a little excited. Rourke, a good hitter, good leadoff hitter, good base runner. We'll tell you about that in a minute because he has split the outfielders and it'll be extra bases. He's rounding first and steaming into second base with a stand-up double. So Gavin Rourke gets things going for the Red Hawks right off the bat with a two-bagger to left center field. And Rourke, a terrific base stealer, tops in the WAC. 18 for 22, so Seattle threatening after one batter. Runner in scoring position. Here's Shane Jamison, the designated hitter. Jamison batting .295, 46 for 156. 4 homers, 25 runs batted in. Right-handed hitter against Hull. And Nick delivers a strike. Home plate umpire today is Steve Mattingly. Old veteran, he's been around a long time. Matt McKendry is at first base. Nolan Early is the third base umpire. Miller Dawson coaching third base. Talking long distance to Rourke, who's away from the bag, dogged by Jacob Wilson. Pitch is swung on, hit to right. Fading is Aguilar. He's short of the track. He makes the catch, tagging at second. And going to third base easily is Rourke on the fly out. If you're new to baseball, that is not a sacrifice fly. It's just a runner advancing on and out. One gone. And here's Gellos with a chance to put Seattle on the lead. Let's take a quick look at the starting lineup. The batting order, you saw the first two, Rourke and Jamison. Gellos is in the third spot. Boiseau 4, he's on deck. Then O'Brien, Welch, and Sherrick. Heiser and Antonsen, that's the way they come up against Hull this evening. Swing and a miss by Gellos, batting .326. Gellos, 21 runs batted in, 2 homers. Outfield straight away for the left-handed hitting third baseman. Hull delivers in the dirt, blocked by Buckley. Boy, the sun is tough at this time of day. We have a little haze on the horizon to the west. The sun is going down behind left field, so it's tough on the people on the right side of the infield. More tough on the fans, to be honest with you, and the batters. Ground ball to the right side. It's going to be through for a base hit. Seattle leads 1-0 as Gavin Rourke brings it home. RBI single for Gellos. And Seattle takes the quick lead.
And that's a great start right there for the Red Hawks. Get out nice and early. Don't let these pitchers get settled. Put some pressure on them early in the game, and now they got to go through more of your batting order.
Boiseau, whom you mentioned in the pregame. Good one. .368. Top home run hitter, tied with Sherrick, who's down the lineup in the 7 spot. Boiseau, the cleanup hitter. 7 homers, 44 runs batted in. 18 more than the next closest Red Hawk. So he's been the big stick, as you mentioned, Anthony. Lanky right-handed hitter. Quiet in the ballpark. A tidy crowd. Not a large gathering by any stretch. School's out, and that changes the dynamic at this and many stadiums across the country. So it's kind of, we got to lower our voices. The pitch blocked at the plate, 1-1. Gellos at first base has not attempted a stolen base. Pretty deep in center field is Bush. Less deep, Burries in left, Aguilar in right. Hull delivers. Ball 2. Yeah, you get to this time of year here and the weather just becomes what we have learned to love about this time of year. It's warm and you're at the ballpark. So many times there have been regionals held in Arizona at this juncture. ASU and U of A doing the honors. And sure enough, last year, the Lopes played in the regional in Tucson. And just kind of get used to going to the ballpark in the heat. Fly ball to left. Fading is Burries slightly to his left, and he makes the catch. Two out, retreating to first base, Gelos. And here's O'Brien. Connor O'Brien, right-handed hitter. Hull nicked for a run, trying to get out of it. The pitch. Ball 1. O'Connor at 3:01. 3 homers. 18 runs batted in. Away from first base, Gelos. The pitch is swung on, hit in the air to right center field, racing over his Bush. He's to the wall, and it is off the wall. It's going to score another run. It's 2-0 Seattle. A ringing double opposite field variety off the bat of Connor O'Brien. Flew that thing to the base of the 380 sign in right field. 2-0 Seattle.
And we talked about it earlier, Tim, watching what you have ahead of you, because it is a daunting task, but you can't overlook this team. Their record is 16-29. It's not pretty, but they can still do some damage, and they're showing you here early.
Well, you know they would love nothing more than to come in here and hurt the Lopes. It's all part of gamesmanship. Play to win. Sometimes you do. Lopes will have to come from behind. They're down 2. And Welch with another one in scoring position as he checks in. Right-handed hitting second baseman. Batting .317. So some nice offensive statistics at the top of the order. Well, we're not at the top of the order anymore, are we? We're down to the 6th spot. Swinging it are the Red Hawks. Not taking a lot of pitches. See the ball, hit the ball. No balls and a strike. Swing and a miss. The Lopes this year have a winning record even when the opposition scores first. Overall, when the opponent scores first, 0-2 runs, well, no problem. GCU is 11-1 in games when they have been behind 1-0 or 2-0. Pitch outside, blocked by Buckley. 1-2. Boy, again, it feels like a fall league game. Quiet house. Nick Hall delivers. Ground ball to third. One big hop to Weaver. He throws to Burries, then Collado, then Wilson. Oh, and 1 is the count to Elijah. 1 ball and 1 strike. Burries 72 base hits. Second on the club. Wilson has 75. There's a strike. Some Seattle fans making some noise to our right. As they should. 1 and 2 is the count. See how the Lopes fare against a left-hander tonight. Foul ball, 1 and 2 is the count. Matt Boisano with the catch. In shallow right field. Got a good first jump. Let's take a look at the Lopes batting order behind Burries. We have Collado, Wilson, and Aguilar. Tyler Wilson batting 5th. Buckley 6th. Weaver's in the 7th spot. Then Crenshaw in the 8th hole. And Bush Jr. is batting 9. So Burries, Collado, Wilson, Aguilar, Tyler Wilson, and Buckley. Weaver, Crenshaw, and Bush. That's how they stack up. This very good hitting Grand Canyon team. Looking to jump into the fray and score some runs early. It's not unusual for this team to come from behind. We mentioned that. I think if you talk to Andy Stankiewicz, one of the things that you would say is, man, it's just hard to be behind. And you're at home and you want to jump out on top. Peculiar game sometimes, baseball. The Lopes are 21-6 on the road. Here, though, a great advantage in this environment. Just 14-10 at home. One of the reasons the Lopes are where they are in terms of RPI and ranking is because of their success as a road team. It's really worth more in some computer categories to win on the road than it is at home, but you still want to hold serve. There's a ground ball by the mound. 3 hops to Antonsen. He throws to first, and it's just in time to get the hustling Collado. 2 up and 2 down.
Number 2, Jacob Wilson.
Here's Jacob Wilson. Wilson, 357. He's been to the plate 210 times. He has struck out 6 times. 6. Yeah, you say that sounds pretty good. Yeah, it is. It's best in the country. He's the toughest batter to strike out in America. The pitch is swung on and lined into left center field. It's a 2-out single for Jacob Wilson. Lopes have a runner aboard. First hit off of Kranowski, and here's Tyler Aguilar. Taylor Aguilar having a wonderful season. 17 home runs. Most by a GCU batter since 1994. Craig Caballero hit 19. This ball is hit to first base, a chop that is unable to be handled by the first baseman. When all is said and done, the dust settles. Kind of a awkward play at first base allows Wilson to get to third base. It's an infield hit. You would imagine, haven't put that on the board yet, looked like an infield single and an error on the throw, but regardless of how they score it, in reality, there's runners on the corners. Yeah, there's the hit. And there's the error. So we've all caught up on the scoreboard. 2 aboard for Tyler Wilson. The pitch in the dirt, blocked by the catcher, Heiser. Taylor Aguilar at first base. 2 for 3 in the stolen base department, if you're wondering what they send him. The pitch low. 2-0. So after 2 gone, Jacob Wilson a line single. Taylor Aguilar a chop single on the infield. Wilson ended up in third base after the throwing error. There's a line drive base hit to center field. The Lopes are on the board, so they've answered. Still trailing by 1, but steaming into third base is Aguilar. 2-1. So after 2 out and nobody on, 3 straight hits as the Lopes take the measure of Peter Kranowski. RBI for Tyler Wilson. Number 31 on the season. And here's Buckley. Buckley, big, strong right-handed hitter. Well, if you weren't here for the first couple of months of the season, you'd think, well, this guy's a pretty good-looking player, and he is, but he didn't play the first couple months of the season. He's had injury problems. He came back, and has he ever emerged on the scene, batting .488. Takes ball 1 and now ball 2. Buckley has 20 base hits in 41 at-bats. And of the 20, 9 are for extra bases, 5 doubles, 4 home runs. Already in double figures, runs batted in with 13. As hot as he is, what a luxury to have that kind of a stick in the 6-hole. Johnny Weaver on deck. Ball is fouled to the right side, out of play. 2-1 to Josh Buckley. Buckley's first game this season was April the 21st. And the Lopes were already getting votes in the national polls by the time he broke in, throw to first base. It's not his first year. Here comes the runner to the plate as the ball is dropped at first base. It's a live baseball, and heads up running by Taylor Aguilar. Connor O'Brien at first base kind of lunged for that pickoff. Looked a little awkward. It squirted out of his web and took a little too much time getting to it. Aguilar says, I'll take that extra base. Lopes get a gift run. Second error of the inning. You'd have to charge that one to O'Brien. In fact, O'Brien may have both errors in the inning. Holding at first base was Tyler Wilson. He went back standing up. But when the ball squirted away, the Lopes get run number 2. And there's ball number 4 to Josh Buckley. He's on base again. So Buck goes to first, Wilson to second. The inning continues for GCU. 4 consecutive batters have reached after 2 out. The game has been all squared. 2 apiece, 3 hits apiece, but the big number in the inning, 2 errors for Seattle. Ground ball bounced foul off the bat of Weaver. It's been local boy makes good for Johnny Weaver, hometown kid, Mountain Point High School in these parts. Popped up on the infield. O'Brien, the first baseman for GCU, the pitch. Ball one. Bush in center field has moved into right center for the left-handed hitting Sherrick. 2-0. Sherrick at .233. 31 hits, but he has 7 home runs. There's a strike. Seattle will put the ball in play. Team batting average is .284. That's not terrible at all. So they've had pitching problems, and you see that a lot. Good hitting team. The earned run average for the Seattle staff is 7.53. They average a little over 5 runs on offense, which is reasonable enough, but if you're giving up 7 or 8, that equals some losses. Full count now to Sherrick with Heiser next. Nick Hull kicks and delivers. Strike 3 swinging. 1 out, first strikeout of the game.
Catcher number 7, Grant Heiser.
Seattle did this year to kind of expand on that point. When they can hold the opponent to 5 runs or less, they're 11-3. The key is that pitching. Heiser takes up and in. Grant batting .271. A lot of programs, when they have good pitching, they'll say if we can get 4 runs or 5 runs, then they will lose. Feel good about their pitching staff. Well, if you don't have the horses to do that, then you have to change your outlook a little bit. 6-18 on the road for Seattle as well. That doesn't bode well. Swing and a miss, 1-2, but they've qualified for the WAC tournament. And you get a team that can hit a little bit, you get in the tournament, crazy things can happen. Pitch is grounded to third base. A diving stop by Weaver, gets up and throws him out. What a nice play by Johnny Weaver.
And Johnny Weaver has displayed all season, not only offensively, but defensively. He can make these fantastic plays. Look at that right there. Him extend. A great throw to get the out.
Maybe a little known fact about Andy Stankiewicz, head coach of the Lopes, when it comes to fielding. Pretty good at it for a long time. He was a college infielder and a major league infielder, was Stankiewicz, in the bigs for a while. Antonsen fouls it off, 0-1. But when Stankiewicz was the assistant coach, one of them at ASU before he became head coach here, he worked with the infielders, and early in the 2000s, ASU led the nation in fielding. So you don't just throw your glove out there. There's something to that. We saw Collado playing a great third base earlier in the season. And now Weaver, for his part, more of the same. 1-1 pitch. A little looper to second base, and a very artistic-looking jump and spear job by Dustin Crenshaw to retire Antonsen, and the Redhawks, bottom of the third or second when we come back, 2-2 tie.
Seattle 2. Dustin Crenshaw.
Lopes coming to bat in the bottom half of the second inning. It's a 2-2 tie. Tim Wilhelm along with Anthony Ferrero and Micah Racine in our booth, enjoying himself. Micah, young aspiring broadcaster, and it's always fun to visit the booth if you haven't done it much before. I did it as a kid. Very meaningful. You never forget it. Ripped into right field. It's in the corner off the bat of Crenshaw, and he'll steam into second base with a stand-up double. Dustin with base hit number 27 on the season. Leadoff two-bagger. Go-ahead runner in scoring position with nobody out to start the bottom half of inning number 2. Here's Bush Jr. Homer hit at the top of the order. For the early part of the season, now in the 9 hole. Batting .290. Pretty good stick in the 9 spot. Bluffed to second base. Coaches will tell you, no, that's not the bottom of the order. Some of them will say that's the second leadoff batter. And so in this position, the Lopes now look at Bush, followed by Buries, and then Collado. There's all kinds of strategies about putting together a batting order. Some coaches like to put their second leadoff hitter in the 7 hole. So you kind of restart. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, you have a guy that can get on, followed by a guy that can move him up. That means somebody has to be able to handle the bat, put down a bunt, hit the ball the other way, go to the right side, make contact, play the hit and run. It's not just throw the numbers out on the floor and pick them up and say, that's my batting order. There's a ground ball to shortstop. Charging is Antonsen. Throw to first base is in time to get Bush. However, he gets the runner, Crenshaw, over to third base. A good bit of base running by Dustin Crenshaw. You have to gauge how long it's going to take for that ball to get to Antonsen, because at first blush you would say, no, that ball is right in front of the base runner. You don't want to do that, get thrown out at third. But Crenshaw knew that Antonsen was going to have to come in and have no play on him at third base, so he took the extra 90. So Dustin hustles into a spot at third base where Buries can pick him up with a productive out. Pitch is grounded to the left side. Diving stop in the hole by the shortstop. He gets up and throws to first base. Good glove work by Antonsen, but it's an infield base hit for Elijah Buries, and the Lopes get another run.
And if
RBI for Buries.
If you're Elijah Buries, you're saying, why would I get a productive out when I can just get a hit so I can get on base?
Well, it worked out, and the Lopes move Crenshaw around after the leadoff double. They get him home with 2 balls on the infield. One a ground out, the other an infield base hit to shortstop. 3-2 GCU. Bouncing ball by the mound, fielded by the second baseman Welch. He goes to second base for 1, but beating the throw by a whisker at first base is Juan Collado. Collado aboard on the fielder's choice. Buries retired 4-6. And with 2 out, here's Jacob Wilson, and he started the 2-run rally after 2 out an inning ago. Lopes have 1 in and another on base. The pitch is in the dirt, blocked by Heiser. Collado 6 for 10 in the stolen base department. The Lopes like to run-ish. They don't go crazy on the bases, but they do some base running. So we'll keep an eye out on Collado at first base. 2 balls and no strikes is the count to Jacob Wilson. Super sophomore. Nation's number 5 ranked shortstop by D1 baseball. Ball is laced into left center field, racing over, and making that catch in the gap. Kyle Sherrick, nice running grab to retire Jacob Wilson. The Lopes get 1, and this is the stretch of the lineup that did the damage. Leadoff batter, Rourke in the box, strike 1. Gavin lined a double to left center to start the ball game, came around to score. Pitch way inside, almost got him. The Lopes have continued to hit the ball so well, batting .309 this season. The opponents against GCU batting .264. Last year, GCU hit .290 as a team, but the pitching was just a little bit better. Batting average against was .247. 3 balls and a strike. It's Rourke, a guy you want to keep off the bases. Fly ball to left field. Burries with the catch. 1 out. Here's Jamison.
Designated hitter, number 36, Shane Jamison.
So the Lopes have improved the batting average by almost 20 points from last year. .290 is pretty good, but they're up to .309 this year. While at the same time, the opponents have had a little bit better luck against the pitching staff. It's notable that the Lopes had to rebuild more of the pitching staff than they did the offense. Fly ball to right. Quickly 2 outs. Fly to left and a fly ball to right. Jamison has gone out to right field both times. He's 0 for 2, and here's Gellos. Gellos an RBI single in the first inning. GCU had to replace 45% of the pitching staff in terms of innings pitched last year. So almost half the workload had to be replaced this year. But only about 35% of the offense. So a little bit better situated with the bat than they were with the arms coming into the year, but haven't they done the job? John Wente, the pitching coach, has guided this staff to this point in the season, and now it's getting interesting. Ground ball to short, backhanded, short hop by Jacob Wilson, throw him out. He just makes it look so easy. Side retired. 7 in a row now retired by Hull. First pitch up and in to Taylor. Aguilar with an infield single in the first inning. Eventually came around to score the second run. Ground ball to first. Winning the race to the bag, O'Brien. 3 unassisted, 1 out.
First baseman, number 30, Tyler Wilson.
Say the name O'Brien in the same sentence as Seattle, and a lot of Seattle area fans will remember the O'Briens, Johnny and Eddie, who were hoop legends up there in the early 50s. Swing and a miss. 0-1. Tyler Wilson. Singled in the first inning. Drove in a run. 1 out, nobody on, bottom 3. Karnowski works out of the stretch even with nobody aboard. 1 hopper to third base. Gelos throws him out. Quickly 2 out in the bottom of the third inning. Yeah, the O'Brien twins were part of this great Seattle sports heritage. And then there was a de-emphasis on athletics at the university for a long time. But boy, the 50s, 60s, 70s, they really had it going. Basketball. Big at Seattle. 1 ball in, no strikes to Josh Buckley. The pitch, there's a strike inside part of the plate. 1-1. Lefty-righty matchup, and the pitch fouled off right field side. 1-2. Boy, the Lopes are blessed with 3 catchers. Pitch is high and outside. Snedeker. A lot of duty time behind the plate. Tyler Wilson, of course. Now Buckley comes back healthy. And look out. Since Josh has been inserted into the lineup, the Lopes are 10-2. Full count pitch coming up. Swung on, hit the center, deep. Rourke to the track at the base of the wall makes the catch for out number 3. So Buck gave it a ride, but tracked down. Trees and mountains to our, well, let's see, be about 10 o'clock on your body alignment. Ground ball to short, scooping and throwing out. The base runner is Jacob Wilson, retiring Boissonneau, first ball hitting. Hull has now retired 8 in a row after the RBI double. Here's O'Brien. Want to know the count. Nick Hull delivers. Swing and a miss. Welch would be next. Joey Wong, first base coach, waiting for some company. It's been quiet since the first inning. Skied to the right side. Aguilar jogging in, says he has it, and he does. One-hand variety. Fly out to shallow right field off the bat of Connor O'Brien, and here's Aiden Welch. Welch grounded to third in the first inning. GCU has won the last 7 in this series. All-time 17-6 against Seattle. It's not unusual to have Grand Canyon Seattle games decided by closer margins. 16 of the 23 decided by 4 runs or less. Foul ball right side. Sherrick in the on-deck circle. if you work by the laws of averages and all of that business, it looks a little more lopsided. But the Lopes have had a couple of really crazy games that blew it out of proportion in terms of scoring margin. GCU won a game 19-0 in 2017. Last year they scored 31 runs in sweeping a 4-game series, a little more reasonable. (11-2) are the Lopes against the Red Hawks here in Phoenix. 2-2 the count, outfield straight away. 2 out, nobody on. Hull winds and delivers. Full count. Game 2 of the series tomorrow, same time. 6:30 first pitch. Very quick turnaround for Saturday's finale. 12 noon start. Pitch just misses on the outside edge. Ball 4. So that breaks the string of batters retired in order. It was 9 in a row. Welch reaches on the base on balls, and here's Kyle Sherrick. Sherrick struck out in the second inning. Lopes with a significant shift on now for Sherrick. Shortstop Jacob Wilson on the second base side of the second base bag. Ball 1. Way out in right field, Crenshaw. From his normal second base position. So all alone on the left side, Johnny Weaver, the third baseman. One and 0 the count. Swing and a miss on the outside pitch. You look at Seattle's record, 16-29. And you look at their schedule, pretty challenging. Swing and a miss, 1-2. They opened with 4 at UC San Diego, then 4 at Texas San Antonio, then 1 at Washington. Let's see if we can do the math. 4 + 4 + 1. Yeah, a 9-game road trip. Then they started conference with 3 at New Mexico State. So add that all up, and now you're 3-9. Tough to win on the road. Throw to first base. But Seattle has the misfortune of being closest to some teams that have some RBI clout. And when you're playing those non-conference games, you're usually playing some decent folks. 2-2 pitch, fouled off. Washington and Washington State out of the pack. Their RPIs are 74 and 75. Playing around 500, but Power 5 conference. Oregon State and Oregon would be the next closest. Well, Oregon State's number 2 in the country, and Oregon's 24. Throw to first base. Then you have new kid on the block, Gonzaga. The Zags are 28 in the RPI. They've been ranked in the top 20 all year. And a real surprise, University of Portland at 82. Better than they've been in years. Full count now to Sherrick. After 2 out and nobody on, Welch walked. Sherrick now has worked the count full. Nick Hull sets at the belt. There goes the runner. Bouncing ball to first base. Grabbed by Tyler Wilson. Underhands to the first baseman, Hull covering in time. And the side is retired. Nothing in the books in the top of this fourth inning. The Lopes lead at 3-2. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In the 3.5 innings, your score, GCU.
Grand Canyon coming to bat in the bottom of the fourth inning. 3-2 GCU.
Third baseman, number 7.
Left-hander Peter Kranowski touched up for 2 in the first, 1 in the second. Bottom third of the order for the Lopes. Weaver, Crenshaw, and Bush Jr. Pitch to Weaver. Misses ball 1. One and one. A few more fans have filtered in. It's a little less intimidating when the sun goes down, isn't it? And boy, what a great place to just come and sit and be outdoors and grab a snack. Beautiful conditions. It was 95 at game time, probably still at 90, but when the sun goes down, it feels like there's a chill in the air. Now, relatively speaking, ground ball to third, throwing him out at first base is Gelos. Weaver is 0 for 2.
Now batting for the Lopes. Second baseman, number 51, Dustin Crenshaw.
That's the thing about baseball. You could come out to a game and sit down. You look at the fans. They've got their feet up, legs draped over the seats in front of them, if you got space to do that. Tonight you do. Chatting, texting, eating, and oh yeah, you hear the sound of bat on ball. I'll look up and see what's up. One of the funniest photos I've ever seen was one taken by a fan at a baseball game. Crenshaw bangs it to the right side, and it gets through 2 defenders in that shift. Welch, the second baseman, dove to his right. Antonson, the shortstop, dove to his left, and it went right between them. If you see that on the replay, a funny-looking play, and Crenshaw has an infield single. Well, it went through, so it's not an infield single. It's just a base hit. It's his second hit. Perfectly placed. Lopes have a runner on. Dustin Crenshaw, 2 for 2. Double and a single away from the bag. Swinging and fouling it back is Bush Jr. Trying to time that breaking ball, 0-1. But there was a photo of a guy who he had been sitting behind a young lady at a baseball game, and she obviously was not real familiar with what was going on. And he took a picture from behind her of her cell phone and the screen and what it said, and she was typing in, how long does a baseball game last? And if you're a baseball purist, that is a hysterical photo, just the thought of it. Now here's somebody sitting all by themselves in this big stadium, maybe waiting for somebody, and will this ever end? How long does a baseball game last? Well, most of us would say not long enough, because we love the game. But then again, it's nice to have a 2.5-hour game every once in a while. These 3:30 games, throw to first base a couple of times, just calling cards, keeping Crenshaw close. Certain conferences around the country play faster than other conferences. It's just the style, the length of time between pitches, West Coast offense versus other. You've heard West Coast offense as a term that was related mostly to football. Well, there's such a thing as West Coast offense in baseball, too. More little ball. Fly ball foul. Oh, that ball went a long ways off the bat of Bush. Well beyond that right field corner. 2-2 the count. 3 runs on 6 hits for GCU. 2 runs on 3 hits and 2 very big errors. Bush wasting pitches. Protecting the plate. Count remains level, 2-2. On deck, top of the order, Burries. And then Collado. GCU trying to build on this tenuous 1-run lead, bottom of the 4th inning. Kranowski delivers over the mound behind second. Into center field for a base hit. Crenshaw goes to second and stops there. So the Lopes put together hits back-to-back with 1 out in the 4th inning. Runners at first and second now. For Burries, Collado, and maybe Jacob Wilson. Optimal setup for GCU. Burries with 28 runs batted in coming in. He has 29 now because he picked up a singleton in the 2nd inning. It's the go-ahead run. Breaking ball catches the inside part of the plate. The Lopes have played 53 games, and Elijah has played in 53 games. 52 as a starter. Fly ball to center. Fading is Rourke. Still going, and it is off the wall. Big hop fielded by the right fielder Boiseau, but by the time he gets it in, the Lopes have 2 more. Boy, reading that ball very well was Homer Bush. And under a full head of steam, speed burner Bush follows Crenshaw to the plate. It's a 2-run double for Burries. It was a fly ball to right center. It just kept right on going. And off the bat of the right-hander, it's going to slice away from a center fielder. And the harder he ran, the behinder he got, as the old saying goes. And it's a 2-run double. 2nd hit of the game for Burries. 2 RBIs that put the Lopes out in front by 3. It's 5-2. Boy, the Lopes have so many different players that can get you. This is a team that can make noise in postseason. Ground ball through the left side for a base hit. Winding him up around third base is Coach Greg Wallace, and he sends home Elijah Burries with run number 3 of the inning. Run number 6 of the game for GCU. Juan Collado does the honors, RBI base hit. And for Collado, unbatted in number 42. (6-2) GCU for Jacob Wilson. Wilson 1 for 2. Singled and scored in the 1st inning, lined to left field in the 2nd. Another multi-run inning for GCU. 2 in the 1st, 3 here in the 4th. Still going. Foul ball. And 1 in between. A single run in the 2nd. So the Lopes already with 9 base hits. We're just 1 out in the bottom of the 4th inning. So yeah, we talk about that batting average for GCU. On balance, you look at that and say, well, how many hits does it take to bat 309 as a team? Well, around 10. It depends. Games are more innings or less innings and what have you. Remember, you're only batting 8 times at home games if you're winning. So that factors in. Well, they're already at 9. We're in the 4th. 2-1 to Jacob. Ground ball to short. Antonsen goes to Welch for 1. Throw to first, not in time. Fielder's choice, Jacob Wilson. On first, Juan Collado out 6-4 at second base. And here's Taylor Aguilar. This team just kind of pecks away at you. The Lopes were trailing 2-0. They're now leading 6-2. And you work through your scorecard. And in the 3rd inning, well, check it, we're in the 4th. So 2 out in the 4th inning. Every GCU batter has reached base except Weaver. That's what they do to you, up and down the order. Swing and a miss. Aguilar 1-1. Burries has 2 hits. Collado has a hit. Wilson a hit. Aguilar at the plate with a hit. Tyler Wilson a hit. Buckley a walk. Weaver's 0 for 2. Bottom of the order, Crenshaw with 2 hits and Bush Jr. with a single in this inning. No respecter of persons. A deep offensive team. Well, that's how you beat good teams. That's how you win games at Oregon State, on the road against Stanford. That's how you win in Tucson. Multiple weapons. Lefty here with Kronowski dealing to Aguilar. The pitch. Outside corner, strike 3 called. And that's it for GCU in the bottom half of the 4th inning. They get 3. They now have 6. Seattle has 2. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right. Going to the 5th. Top of the 5th inning. Grand Canyon 6, Seattle 2. It's the first of a 3-game series. Nick Hull pretty sharp after the first inning, Anthony.
Certainly, and we talked about it. They can get behind at times, but this pitching staff as a whole has been incredibly resilient. And they're showing it again this game. Nick Hull settled down and is just dealing to these Red Hawk batters.
Well touched up for 2 runs on 3 hits, including a couple doubles in the first inning. No hits since, and we're now in the 5th. Well, I jinxed that, didn't I? Lined it into right field for a single. Grant Heiser with the leadoff base hit. The first hit since the first inning.
Shortstop number 6, Trevor Antonsen.
You start getting concerned about a pitching staff at this point in the season when the specter of a conference tournament looms. The WAC has an event that is grueling. And you have to have the pitching that will enable you to wade through it. Fly ball to center field. Back, and what happened? It is gone. There is no signal by either umpire. Oh yeah, okay, cleared the wall. Gone, 2 runs just like that. It's now 6-4. So a 2-run home run off the bat of Antonsen. Top of the order we go to Rourke. The pitch, 1-1. But you have that tournament coming up, and you're going to need pitching galore. Especially teams that drop into the losers bracket. The Lopes are keeping an eye on the RPI and some other teams around the country, because heaven forbid you lose in the conference tournament. You have to get in as an at-large team. Now the Lopes have the credentials to get in as an at-large team. However, there's a big however to that. 2-2 pitch. Ground ball to the first base side. Kind of a bad hop. Tyler Wilson. Kind of a protective look out. Sort of stab at that thing. Wicked bounce. Got off his glove. Deliberating on that are the official scorers next door. And Wilson has been given an error. So the supposition is that that's a ball that Tyler would normally play effectively, and that time he did not. So E3 on the grounder. Tying run now at the plate. Jamison, the designated hitter. Now Rourke, we mentioned early in the game, second in the conference in stolen bases. Team down by 2, you could send him here. They bluff to first and they've got him. Running him to second base, Wilson to Jacob Wilson, and they tag him out. So Wilson to Wilson, and Rourke, the top base stealer in the league, frozen by that move from Nick Hull. And he knew he was dead in the water as soon as the throw went over there. It's an uh-oh. The pick erases the base runner, first out of the inning. That goes 1-3-6 if you're keeping score. And the pitch to Jamison is a strike. So you look at that conference tournament, and if the Lopes were to lose one game, of course it's double elimination. You could end up having to play 5 games in 4 days in order to win the conference. And it basically becomes a hitting contest. So you think that Lopes are well suited to compete in a run derby, if you will, with the numbers that they have put together and all of the good statistics we've been talking about earlier in the ballgame. But it gets dicey. Ground ball to the right side. Crenshaw to Wilson, 2 out. Anybody can lose a game on a given day. I mean, it can happen. Some of the super teams of recent years that have not won national championships. People just assume you can steamroller everybody, whether it's regular season or regional or conference tournament. Oregon State was upset. Vanderbilt. UCLA in 2019, top seed. It happens. You can just lose. Other teams are actually trying to beat you. No balls and 2 strikes to Derek Galos. 1 for 2. Hull to the plate. Jacob Wilson. Tyler Wilson. Side retired. Well, bowed but unbroken. Restart it offensively. GCU with 2 multi-run innings and a single. 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the fourth. Tyler Wilson, RBI single in the first inning. And the wind has come up. Ground ball to third, 1 hop speared by Gellis. Throws to first. Tyler Wilson retired, 1 out. There's Josh Buckley.
The catcher, number 28, Josh Buckley.
You talk about postseason. Well, we're going to save that thought because there's going. First pitch misses. Seattle has the shift on. 3 on the left-hand side of the infield. For Buckley, pull hitter. Or so the scouting report says. There's a strike. 1-1. Breeze blowing in. It'd be a little tougher now to power one out for the pull hitter. Be headed into the wind. 10, 12 miles an hour right now. Nothing terrible, but an impact item. You can see the palm fronds in the shadows, in the glow of the lights in center field and left center. 1-2 pitch. Ground ball to the right side. Wouldn't you know it? Base hit to the other way. And Buckley is aboard with a 1-out single.
Now batting for the Lobos, third baseman, number 7.
Well, that's an ordinary ground ball to second base without a shift on. So Josh confounding the statistical probability ledger and 1-out base hit. Johnny Weaver, then Dustin Crenshaw. Weaver, the only Lope now without a base hit. 0 for 2. Popped to first. Grounded to third. Weaver, what a valuable guy. He's played 3 different positions. Second, third, and short. At third base tonight. Buckley stretching out his lead. Drew a throw over there. He's not attempted a stolen base. There's a ball off the glove of the catcher, and he can jog to second base. Runner in scoring position. Wild pitch for Hoover. 1-1 the count to Weaver. GCU with 10 hits in 4 1/3. Fly ball to left. Coming hard, Sherrick. He makes the catch. Ball held up by the wind. He started out at a more reasonable spot defensively, and you could see him pick up his pace a little bit as he came in to make the catch. Second out of the inning. Weaver 0 for 3. Here's Crenshaw. He's 2 for 2. A double, a single, and scored twice. Buckley at second. 2 out. 5th inning. 6-4 GCU. Pitch is inside off the glove of the catcher. Another wild pitch. 2 balls in the dirt in the inning has moved Buckley from first around to third. Crenshaw will try to pick him up with Bush on deck. Wind continuing to blow toward the right field corner, across the field. Well, left field corner to right field corner. You could get something wind aided. You'd have to hook one as the lefty. 1-1 is the count. Hoover delivers. 2-1. Fly ball to right center field. It's in the gap. Going hard as Boisano. He's going to have to play it off the wall. It's the third hit of the ball game for Dustin Crenshaw. Another double, his second 2-bagger of the game. Coming home easily is Buckley. And the Lopes answer. Seattle with 2 in the top of the inning. The Lopes get 1 back. That's the second answer of the game for GCU. Seattle got 2 in the first. The Lopes got 2 back in the first. And now after a 2 in the top half, 1 in the bottom for GCU here in the 5th. 7-4, and Crenshaw in scoring position for Bush. First run batted in tonight for Crenshaw. 13 on the year. Swing and a miss. Bush just about came out of his shoes. Presently 292 as he stands in. Grounded to short in the second inning. Singled and scored in the 4th. One pitch. 1-2. Hits. A lucky 7-11 on the board for the Lopes. Still 1-2. Since 2014, GCU ranks in the top 30 nationally in batting, cumulatively speaking. They were at 287 coming into this year, 309. They've improved that lot. It's always among the country's better / best hitting teams. 2-2, the count to Bush. Question is how many over 300 on average for that time? Well, just 6. The pitch fouled back. Morehead State, Jacksonville State, North Carolina, Greensboro, New Mexico State, and Arizona. That's it. Those are the only schools over 300. The Lopes right there. The pitch swung on and missed. It gets away and goes to the backstop. So Bush will reach first base. It's a strikeout wild pitch. Moving up to third base is Crenshaw. The inning stays alive. Boy, the ball of Hoover really moving. Strikeout, wild pitch. Burries flies it down the right field side. It's dropping in the corner. It is a foul ball. Just a little too much slice. Come back, do it again. Burries with a single and a double. Ground single to deep shortstop in the second inning. He's gone to right field twice. A fly out on a soft liner. And a double to right center. Righty-righty matchup. 0-1 pitch coming instead of throw to first. Jay Sabranti coaching down there for the Lopes in his first year out of Penn State. Hoover delivers with the runner going. There's no throw to second base. So Bush moves into scoring position. Two out, runners at second and third. A run in, fifth inning. One pitch, swing and a miss. Outfield straight away for Burries. Strike three swinging. So it's going to go up a bit, regardless of where we go from here. First pitch is a strike. But as we were saying earlier in the broadcast, it's all about getting pitching that will sustain you and take you to a win, one way or the other. If the other team scores 4, you just got to get 5. And coaches don't worry too much about statistics. When it comes to this point in the season, it's all about getting folks out in circumstances that benefits your club. A couple of pitches to Boiseau, and he's out. 4-3, 1 down. Here's O'Brien. Boiseau, tough customer, is 0 for 3 tonight, so Hull has held serve against him. Swing and a miss. Hull has pitched very well since the first inning. A momentary blip on the radar screen in the 5th inning. Single homer for the 2 runs. The only 2 hits since inning number 1. We're now in the 6th. And it's 0-2 to O'Brien. When you win championships, you get into certain points of the season where you get contributions from somebody that you didn't expect them from. Certainly not the case with Hull. He's expected. He's been the consummate Friday guy. But he'll have to have some help in tournament play, whether it's the WAC tournament or a regional to follow. Tough events. 1-2 pitch. Hull has been a wonderful leader from the standpoint of being an innings eater, which is what you want on a Friday, or in this case a Thursday. You can't have your Friday guy getting knocked out of the game in the 2nd inning. Strikeout of O'Brien is the 2nd out of the inning. Just the second K of the game for Hull. Well, when you look at his numbers, remarkably consistent. And the number of innings that you pitch in the first game of a series is a very big deal. Don't want to go to that bullpen and wear them out when you have 2 more to follow. 0-1 to Welch. 0 for 1, grounded to third, walked in the 4th inning. 2 out, nobody on. Lopes leading by 3. Pitch is up and away. But look at the innings pitched by Nick Hull. He's into the 6th here. Previous outings, 5 1/3, 6 1/3, 5 2/3, 6 2/3, 5 1/3. You get the idea. Consistency means a lot. You know, you can get by in a super regional with 2 pitchers. Well, you only have to win 2 games. That's the easy part. Ground ball to third. Tough play behind the bag. Foul ball off the glove of Weaver. Looking right at it all the way was Nolan Early. And coming back to do it again is Welch. And the Super Regional is a best 2 out of 3, right? So you can get by and win a Super Regional if you only have 2 guys that can pitch effectively. You can win the College World Series with 2 pitchers. Because if you win a game, you get a day off. And then you win another game, you get another day off. Well, then you've got 4 days, you go back to the first guy. I mean, you can. Get to the finals, you'll need a 3rd pitcher. It takes 3. But the regionals are very tough. And the conference tournaments are killers. Coming up next week. Ground ball to third. Speared by Weaver. A hot shot. He throws to first. And McBee ready to go. The pitch misses. Ball 1 to Calato. Juan Calato wrapping up his career at home this weekend. Breaking pitch. Kind of a sidewinder delivery from McBee. Catches the inside edge, 1-1. And what a story Calato has been. First Salvadoran to be on a collegiate baseball scholarship anywhere in the country. That's not just here. First one to play Division I baseball on scholarship. Batting .392. 6 homers, 41 runs batted in. Well, 42 now. He had one in his last at bat, a single in the 4th inning. Breaking ball inside part, whacks it on the ground. Foul ball. Count remains 1-2 to Calato. Juan in the DH spot. We saw him at third base. Very accomplished with the glove. Switch hitter. Batting right against the lefty McBee. Swing and a miss. They got him this time. And Calato back to the bench. He's now 1 for 4. Quiet night for Juan. 1 down for Wilson. Jacob Wilson checking in, 1 for 3. Lined a single, scored a run in the first. Lined to left in the second, bounced into a fielder's choice. Ground ball to shortstop in the fourth inning, 1 for 3. Aguilar next, and then Tyler Wilson if we get that far. Lopes leading by 3. 1 out, nobody on, bottom of the 6th. If you've ever tried to play the game of baseball at a high level, you know how tough it is to hit. Baseball is a game built on failure. Whacked down the left field side. It's hooking out of play. The best hitters, you know, if you make out 70% of the time, you're in the Hall of Fame. It's a tough game. It's a tough discipline. Ball coming in, moving, juking, jiving, high speeds. Pete Rose used to say the toughest thing to do in sports is hit a round ball with a round bat in a straight line. Might be right. The pitch. Ground ball to the right side. Speared by O'Brien. He'll run to the bag and beat Jacob Wilson. Second out of the inning. Good play by O'Brien defensively. And when you're around the game, you see a guy like Jacob Wilson and you realize, man, what he's doing is amazing. He just doesn't strike out. It's so tough to hit. Here's Aguilar. 1 for 3. Lefty-lefty matchup. Fouls it back on the net. Oh, what are the averages in Major League Baseball right now? 233. Terrible. Some of it is a dead baseball issue. One ball in, 1 strike to Aguilar. Outfield straight away. Not too deep in center, Rourke. Now he moves into left center. There's a swing and a miss. Little different look for the Lopes against McBee. Left-hander throwing the hook. Ahead 1 and 2. He struck out Collado. Got Wilson on a ground ball to first. 1 and 2 to Aguilar. Strike 3, side retired. Lopes out in order in the bottom of the 6th inning. Nothing across. 7 runs, 11 hits for GCU. 4 runs on 5 hits for Seattle as we go to the 7th. Stay with us. Top of the 7th inning, Nick Hull back to the hill. Just taking a look at the scoreboard, see what's going on around the country. A couple of results that are worth noting for GCU. We were talking earlier about the RPI and all that business. The Lopes presently in the D1 baseball poll ranked number 25. And so you look at the other teams that are around you. What do you have to do to move up? So you look at teams ranked 20 to 24. See what's up. Kyle Sherrick, the batter. Grant Heiser is next, and Trevor Antonson. 7, 8, 9 in the batting order. Seattle trails by 3, top 7. Nick Hull delivers the 2-0, swung on and fouled back. Florida State is 20, Vanderbilt 21, Texas 22, UCLA 23, TCU 24. So if you're looking to move up, well, you'd like those teams to be losing, wouldn't you? Strike on the outside edge. Well, Florida State has cooperated. Lost to North Carolina tonight, 7-5. Vanderbilt at number 21, pounded by LSU, 13-2. That worked out. 2-2 pitch. Ball skied to left field. Outgoing Wilson, incoming Burries, and Burries says, "I'll take it." And makes the catch for out number one, Sherrick. On a shallow fly to the left field side, and here's Heiser. Texas is winning 12-4 over Kansas. Well, that's now a final, so that's in the books. UCLA at 23. They're winning 2-1 at Oregon State. Boy, that's a heck of a pitcher's duel in a premier game. That is in the 8th inning. Oregon State tough to beat up there, but Lopes did it. GCU splitting a series in Corvallis earlier this season. 0-1 pitch. Fouled back. Grand Canyon was in Corvallis March 15 and 16. Scored a whole lot of runs, 21 runs in the two games. Won the second game 13-7 after losing 9-8. In fact, D1 Baseball has GCU penciled in to go to the Corvallis Regional. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Well, you'd have a little course knowledge. You'd know the ballpark a little bit. You'd have already seen that train running behind right field. There's a line drive base hit in the left field. One out single for Heiser.
Now batting for the Red Hawks, shortstop number 6, Trevor Antonsen.
TCU and Santa Clara. Horned Frogs hung on. They're ranked 24th. They were trailing in that game, but they won 7-6 over the Broncos. Oh yeah, scoreboard reading in postseason. Well, it's not postseason yet, but it kind of feels like it. Lined into left center field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Stopping at second base is Heiser. Antonsen follows Heiser's single with a single of his own. 2 on. One out, and the tying run now at the plate in the dangerous person of Gavin Rourke. Rourke, a .288 hitter. Pesky hitter. Puts the ball in play. Lefty-righty matchup. The pitch. Ball 1. Nick Hull fighting through the 7th inning. He got the first man out. Sherrick flied to left, but Heiser and Antonsen, 8-9 in the order, have singled. So top of the order we go, and now it's 2-0. Stanford beating USC tonight by a score of 7-1. You say, well, what's the importance of that? Well, Strike 2-1. The Lopes have a win against Stanford, so the better Stanford is, the bigger bump the Lopes get in the computer. Stanford presently number 4 ranked. That's just fine. Stanford, Oregon State ranked second. That's just fine. Those things help when you beat those great teams. Pitch outside, ball 3-1. Stirring in the GCU bullpen. A couple of fellas up earlier stopping for the time being. 3-1 pitch on the way. Line drive at Weaver. Makes the catch on his knees. Tries to double off the runner. Heiser at second base, but Grant just gets back in time. Rourke, the left-handed hitter, went the other direction and struck one hard at third base. Weaver stayed with it for the line out. 2 out. And here's Jamison, the designated hitter. Well, you'd think if a designated hitter is 0 for 3, he's due for a hit, isn't he? He's flied out twice and grounded to second. All 3 times against Hull in the righty-righty matchup, he's gone to the right side. Hull trying to squeeze through the 7th inning. There's 2 out and 2 on. The pitch a little bit high, ball 1. Bush in center field, moved into right center deep. Deep and left Burries, well off the line. A 1-0. The pitch, flied foul, first base side out of play. Figures to be Hull's last inning. He has gone 7 innings twice this year, once against San Diego on March the 11th, once at Dixie State on April the 8th. 1-1 pitch coming up. Swing and a miss. Hull with 2 strikeouts. That's it. Just 1 walk. 7 hits. Bend but don't break. The pitch. Fouled again. Workmanlike effort for Hull, just trying to get the last out in the top half of this 7th inning. 1-2 pitch coming up. Popped up. First base side, foul territory. Buckley and Wilson. And Wilson, the first baseman, makes the catch to retire the side. So Hull gets out of it. No runs, 2 hits in the top of the 7th.
Inning for these Red Hawk pitchers. 2 1/3 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run.
Jamal, a right-hander, so you can see Donnie Harrell, the head coach of the Red Hawks, going left, right, the military rotation. Tyler Wilson, 324 as he checks in, followed by Josh Buckley and then Johnny Weaver. Wilson 1 for 3. RBI single in the first inning, a couple of ground outs to third base. Ahead on the count 2-0 against Jamal. Pitching out of the stretch even with nobody on. 3-0 to Wilson. I was reading between innings about this story that came to me from a friend of mine a few days ago. There's ball 4. Tyler Wilson takes 4 wide ones and Jogs to first base. Runner aboard. To start the frame, we'll see what they ask Buckley to do. Maybe bunt him up. I don't know, as hot as Buckley is. Coming in at 488. You let him swing away? 3-run lead? Well, maybe. Yeah, sure, why not? Now 21 for 43. There's a strike. Yeah, swing it. 0-1. Jamal throws to first base. I was reading the story about this big league historical moment from, well, it was a little over 100 years ago. So, you know, it's not yesterday, but it was good reading about a pitcher, Ray Caldwell. Strike 1-1 to Buckley. And he was struck by lightning in a game and then finished the game. Stayed in and finished. So whenever you talk about a pitcher getting in trouble trying to fight through a jam, remember Ray Caldwell. He got struck by lightning. And they go into the chapter and verse of this thing. It was the ninth inning. And he was sent sprawling on the mound for 5 minutes. He laid on his back unconscious. He got up and finished the game. What's better than baseball? Swing and a miss. And Buckley down on strikes.
I mean, in that case, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? If he's pitching well and he's able, might as well see if he can finish it out.
Yeah, it's a legit story. You can find it. It said the pitcher who was struck by lightning and still finished the game. 1919 journeyman hurler worked into the ninth inning when suddenly a frightening spectacle occurred. Well, I should say so. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out, no lightning. It's a lovely sky. We'll have some of that this summer as the monsoons hit the Valley of the Sun. It's always fun. But wonderful conditions at the ballpark. Beautiful night at the stadium. Still warm with a breeze. Away from first base, Wilson. Johnny Weaver looking for his first hit of the game. Pitch is down low, 2-0. Tyler Wilson away from first as this one's fouled off the right field side, and it will make the embankment. A couple of kids taking cover over there. Fun place to sit if you're a little guy. Kid caught a baseball. How exciting. Anthony, you ever caught a ball in the stands?
I myself have not, though I have had friends that have.
The pitch with the runner going is way high. The throw to second base is not in time. Got there on a bounce. It was a pretty good throw considering that Iser had to leap out of the stance and Still managed to grab and throw. It went on a hop. Not quite in time. Stolen base for Wilson. Yeah, the baseballs, when they come at you, they come quick. They sting. Pitch is ball 4. Johnny Weaver doesn't have a hit tonight, but he does have a base on balls. So now every Lopes batter has reached base safely tonight. 7 runs, 11 hits, 1 error for Grand Canyon. 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors for Seattle. Action in the pen for GCU. As we surmised, logically, Hall has reached a finish line. We won't see that officially until somebody else trots out there. The pitch is outside off the edge. 1-0. Blake Riley is warming. Stopping at the moment. We'll see. 1 out. 2 on for the Lopes. Ball 2 to Dustin Crenshaw. All Crenshaw has done tonight in the 8-hole, double, single, double. Scored twice, drove in a run. Foul ball, 2-1. The game has slowed down the last couple innings. Kind of a more deliberate pace. We got through 4.5 pretty quickly. And then strike outside edge, 2-2. Bush Jr. waiting on deck. There are so many things that baseball at the top level has done to try to speed the game up. Can't step out of the box, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. Eliminate this. There's been all kinds of suggestions. And maybe make a walk would be 3 balls instead of 4. No, you don't want to do that. An infielder in the minor leagues I was reading about was called out on strikes without even stepping out of the batter's box because there's a rule. There's a strike. Swinging to Crenshaw, mad at himself, whacks the bat. Rolls his head nuts. So a couple of strikeouts in the inning. Buckley and Crenshaw punched out around a couple of walks. Tyler Wilson and Johnny Weaver. 2 on, 2 out for Bush Jr. Minor leagues have become a training ground for experimenting with new rules, including one that requires batters to keep a foot in the box at all times. Pitchers have to deliver a pitch within 14 seconds. Well, we've experimented with that in summer ball, the rookie minor leagues here, and fall ball. MLB product. But batters must also be ready to hit within 9 seconds on the pitch clock. Well, if the pitcher has 14 seconds, the batter has to be ready with 9. That only leaves you 5 seconds to mess around. Swing and a miss, 0-2. And in the video that was posted, the batter kept the foot in the box the entire game and was standing in the batter's box, but wasn't in his ready-to-hit position, and the umpire said, "You're out." Wasn't ready at the 9-second mark. There's a swing and a miss, strike 3. 3 swinging strikeouts, around 2 walks. An interesting inning for Alex Jamal, but he retires the Lopes with no damage. We'll go to the 8th inning, 7-4 GCU. Stay with us. The new pitcher for the Lopes, Brody Cooper Vasilakis. We were just kidding you about Blake Riley. No, it was Riley. He was warming up, but they go to Coop and Vass. So tell me about it.
So Brody Cooper Vasilakis, 5.08 ERA. His most recent appearance on the 15th against New Mexico State went 2/3, 2 hits, 2 earned runs. A lot of 2s right there. Brody Cooper Vasilakis.
Leading off the top of the 8th for the Red Hawks. Third baseman, number 35, Derek Gallos.
Cooper Vasilakis will face Derek Gellos, Matt Boisano, and Connor O'Brien, 3, 4, 5 of the batting order. Brody works from the stretch, even with nobody aboard, sets below the belt. Kicks and delivers first pitch a little bit high, ball 1. Gellos tonight 1 for 3, an RBI single in the first inning. Grounded to short 2 times thereafter. Boisano hitless on deck. Lopes have done a pretty good job with these 2 guys. Ground ball to second. Crenshaw throws him out. Keeping the leadoff runner off base. 1 out. Well, Seattle had the leadoff runner reach in the first inning and the 5th inning. And both times that leadoff batter came around to score. Funny how that works out. Here's a strike sliding on the outside edge to Boisano. Boisano has been handcuffed. Nick Hull handled him. Flied to left. Grounded to short. Grounded to second. Fastball misses inside. Game 2 tomorrow. We'll be right back out here at 6:30. Be on the air actually about, 5? Well, no, we wouldn't be on at 5. We'd be on at 6. 6:21, I think, would be the right time. Yeah?
That is correct.
All right. You know these things, don't you?
I do.
Okay. 6:21 p.m. Our time, local time, here in Phoenix. 2-2 the count to Boisano. Game 2 of the series, and Lopes really needing to keep winning, just in case something otherworldly happens in the WAC tournament. There's a strikeout swing, and Buckley throws him out. K2-3 on the putout. 2 out to Connor O'Brien. Yeah, you got to keep that RPI up, and yet the Lopes won a series last weekend, sweeping on the road, and their RPI went down because there's lots of calculations involved. It's nail-biting time. You have a great season that you've assembled. You're looking for win number 37 tonight against 17 losses. 23-5 if you win this game in conference. And yet, Other conferences that have higher power ratings are going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7 teams in postseason play. Southeastern Conference, ACC. Not always the Pac-12. Sometimes they get 4 or 5. Big 12, get Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU. The pitch swung on and fouled. 2-2 the count to Connor O'Brien. 1 for 3, first inning double, drove in a run. Two in the first and 2 in the fifth. Ball 3. Among other things, when you're trying to position yourself to have that RPI as high as possible, in the event of an upset in the conference tournament, you look at Seattle and their RPI number is very, very low. It's in the 200s. And if you lose a game at home to a team that's ranked in the 200s, that's just a killer. So they don't want that to happen. This is a very important series for GCU. Yes, they've clinched the West and the top seed in the tournament. These games are very important. 3-2, 2 out. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Bury's freshman All-American last year. Poised and polished. Young man hit 374 last season. 333 right now as he checks in. Takes a strike from Smith. 5th pitcher tonight for the Red Hawks. Bounced foul at the plate. 0-2. Big guy, Gabe Smith. 6'4". List him at 200. He looks bigger. Imposing figure. 0-2 pitch. Stanford wins 7-4 over USC. Boy, what has happened to the USC program? They're in last place in the Pac-12. Popped up, foul behind the plate. Heiser back to the screen. He will not have a play. You know, there are fans here. There are people just chilling out, enjoying a nice evening. They're just not making any noise, and it sounds like we're in the garage or something. 0-2 is the count to Bury's. Gabe Smith delivers. Bounced out in front of the plate. It's a foul ball. Texas A&M over Ole Miss tonight, 10-5. A&M ranked 6th. Texas Tech took the loss tonight to Oklahoma, losing in Lubbock 13-8. Well, the Lopes would be fine if Texas Tech could keep winning. Every little bit helps. Ball outside, 1-2. Baylor beat number 8 Oklahoma State. So some of the ranked teams having troubles tonight. Ooh, but not Tennessee. Number 1 ranked Tennessee. You hear that score. High chop on the infield by the time it comes down. Antonsen can only glove it and return it to his pitcher. Infield single for Elijah Burries. For Burries, that's his third hit. Nice game for Elijah. 3 for 5. Leadoff runner aboard for the Lopes for Collado. Won the DH tonight. 1 for 4. Struck out his last time at bat. Singled in the 4th inning. Pitch gets away from the catcher and going to second base. Standing is Burries. Boy, Heiser has been under fire back there today. About a half a dozen wild pitches. 1-0 the count to Collado. One in a spot where he can pick up another run batted in. Had a ribby in the 4th. Lined over the top of the Lopes dugout. 1-1. Tennessee 27. Mississippi State 2. In Starkville. In Starkville, Mississippi. How do you think that went over with the locals?
Well, you started with number 27. I forgot we were talking about baseball for a second.
27-2, Tennessee's over Mississippi State. And you know the place was sold out. Yeah, they probably had 15,000 there. Oh, my goodness. Those are hard to absorb. Might have been some kind of payback or agenda item there. Fly ball to center field. Cruising in is Rourke. And now he picks up the pace a little. Has to jog a little harder, but he makes the catch. 1 out. Here's Jacob Wilson. Jacob 1 for 4. There's 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning. 7-4 GCU. 7 runs, 12 hits, and an error for the Lopes. 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors for the visitors from Seattle. Seattle U. Ball 1 to Jacob Wilson. Single to left and scored in the 1st inning. It was a very big hit when you think about it. Lopes had just yielded 2 in the top of the 1st. Ground ball to short. Big kangaroo hop. Antonsen stays with it and throws out Wilson at first base on the play. Burries goes to third base. 2 out. Runner 90 feet away. And here's Aguilar. Yeah, Wilson's first inning single came with 2 out and nobody on. The Lopes were trailing 2-0. And it just very quietly set the comeback in motion. Lopes went on to manufacture 2 runs in the inning, tied the game, and then you basically wiped the slate clean. And since the first inning, when it was 2-2, it's been mainly Lopes in control, hasn't it? Fly ball foul, third base side. Little 2-run home revival for Seattle. In that 5th inning, they got a pair back, making a 6-2 game 6-4, but GCU with 1 in the bottom half. Made it 7-4, and the last 3 innings have been quiet. Quiet offensively, number of pitching changes and what have you, but no runs on the board. Burries disturbing Smith a little bit at third base. Coming down the line, nobody back of him. The pitch is way outside, and off the glove of the catcher, Heiser. He took a look to see where Burries was at third base if he was going to try anything. No shenanigans that time. The Lopes stole a run earlier in the game on a ball that went off the glove of the first baseman O'Brien on a pickoff. And scooting home from third base was Aguilar. The Lopes will run on the bases. Not always stolen bases, but aggressive base running. First to third. Wild pitches, pass balls, balls in the dirt, hit and run. Base running is not just stealing bases. 2-2 is the count to Aguilar. 1 for 4 tonight. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Down he goes. Grant Heiser, 6-7-8. Foul ball. Riley's been pretty good. Indeed. Strike 0-2. Most of the great programs have designated a young man as a closer. This is how it's done. College baseball has sure changed over the years and the decades. There's a pitch out of the zone 1 and 2. We've talked about that before, how in midweek games you would have the starter from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday each throw 3 innings for their midweek bullpen. Not like that anymore. Ball is lashed into center field for a base hit. So Riley gets a 1-2 pitch in a bad spot, and Welch whacks it for a solid single right up the middle.
Pitch hitting for the Red Sox, number 16, Jackson Lind.
Pinch hitter for Seattle, Jackson Lind, left-handed hitter. Freshman out of Kennewick, Washington. So percentage move for Donnie Harrell, sending up the lefty against the righty Riley. First pitch is grounded to the right side. Moving well to his left is Crenshaw. Throw to first is in time. Boy, Dustin covered a lot of ground to get there. Looked like it might slither through, but Crenshaw makes the play. On the out, Welch moves to second base. But one big out in the 9th inning. Here's Heiser. You know, the Redhawks going up there to attack against the Lopes pitchers all night long. They were up there to hit against Hull. Only one walk. Swinging the bat against Cooper Vasilakis in the 8th. Again here in the 9th inning. Attacking Riley. 1-0. Pitch slides outside, 2-0. Heiser with 2 base hits tonight. A couple of singles, one in the 5th, one in the 7th. Grounded to third in the 2nd inning. Vince Riley delivers. Foul ball, 2-1. They have some of those results among the ranked teams. OSU 13-2 over Vandy in Nashville. That's a shock to their system in Vanderbilt land. Number 3, Virginia Tech, a winner. There's a strike. Maryland, number 15, winner over Purdue. Connecticut lost at Georgetown, blown out 13-2. Swinging and missing, actually a foul tip, gloved by Buckley for the second out. Well, nothing happens in the polls. Don't go away. Seven to 5. Nobody throwing behind Riley because Riley is the closer, right? Fly ball foul out of play. 0-1. It's been a battle, really to no one's surprise. I told you that the games between these two teams are often close-ish. Pitch is outside. 1-1. Rourke with one hit. It was a double. It came all the way back in the first inning. He's 0 for 3 since. The pitch. Low. 2-1. Jamison on deck. The designated hitter is 0 for 4. Lopes 7, Red Hawks 5. Fly ball to left. It's at Burries, and it's in his glove. Game over. Elijah Burries makes the play. Riley gets out of the 9th inning. He gets the save, gives up a run, but the bottom line is the Lopes